What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Growth is Hard podcast, where we break generational curses, break toxic cycles. Man, let me start by saying, this previous week, man, has been rough. I don't know about y'all, but my allergies got hands, man. They got hands, man. I lost my voice early this week. I've been fighting with congestion and a sore throat, all this stuff, man. I was worried I'd have like strep throat or, something crazy like COVID. I think it's just like a really bad sinus infection. So, part of me if I'm all nasally and whatnot. But to follow up from last week's discussion, I want to go more into depth about the show I just performed over at the Gypsy Coffee House. Big shout out to them. Big shout out to Sila, the man. Oh man, so thankful for y'all. Um, but before I get into everything, let's hit the intro.
My soul wanna break out the labyrinth, I too wanna break out the casket, I do, then they wonder what happened. Back from the dead, I should've said it was killing me, I set up boundaries. Trump with the border, and now you're supporting the immigration. Cause I've been there when you needed me most, to get you high even when I was low. Did it then, but I don't do it no more, man. Growth is hard. 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 Growth is always worth it. Growth is growth is growth is growth is
Man, so kind of a refresher from last week. I've been going through a number of different things as far as getting ready for this show, putting together this set list that I'm gonna perform, and really just amping myself up. This is my comeback. This is my debut for 2022. Let's make this right. And I go out there and I come out there strong. I start off with Only Child. The single came out in February. If you haven't checked it out already, check it out. Throw it in the playlist. I mean, it's cool. But, it felt good. I just felt naturally where I was supposed to be. And everybody there, from the artists to the crowd, the baristas, they were very welcoming. They were very active and participating in, the crowd calls and, show and tells as far as like what I was doing. And they were just really good listeners overall. If that is one thing I look forward to in the audiences and in the crowds, is that they're really good listeners. Because not only did they listen to participate, but they listened to understand the story and the meaning behind my message. So as I'm rapping or singing these songs, I'm looking at, these individuals as I'm scoping out the room, and they're really absorbing and digesting this message. I'm not just seeing blank faces. I'm seeing people actively listening to what my story is telling them and pondering, if not reflecting within themselves, what it could possibly mean to endure or go through something like that. Or maybe a situation they already have been through, and like, wow, this guy gets me. He understands. And so I just want to be very grateful and thankful towards everybody that was there, and hopefully make even more impressionable and greater appearances in this year to come. But the moment I wanted to talk with y'all specifically was about this song at the second to last song of the set list, called Minor Setback, Major Comeback. And that song is very close to my heart, and I didn't realize how much emotions I had tied into that song, because it was one of those things where music has always been therapeutic to me, right? It's been something I've used to get things off of my chest. It's been something I've used to put thoughts to paper, and just putting it out there has just been something that has been not only beneficial to me as far as like enjoying the creation and craft that is music, the art that it is, but knowing that it's helped and benefited somebody else's livelihood, their families, their friends, and that's why I keep doing it. But something about this song, I didn't realize how much, I guess, untapped emotions that I just kind of jot down. I put it all together and I just left it there. I didn't really like delve into it too much. I didn't sit with it. I didn't process it. And I'm on stage. I'm performing it. It's going really well. And it's this third verse where not only am I covering the accident that happened to me at work where a gun safe fell on me and I lost my ability to walk and I had to learn and do all these basic things all over again, but I'm also telling the story of how my father was murdered in a home invasion and realizing there were so many things in my life that I was just taking for granted and never really thought that anything would happen to them, that they could just be taken away at a moment's notice. And I'm having to learn for myself in the hardest way possible that quite literally there's never a right time to assume that you will always have time, whether that's for a job opportunity, a hobby, friends, family, relationships, whatever it is. You have 24 hours in a day the moment that you wake up. But the moment that you lay your head down to go to sleep, the next day is not promised. The next hour isn't even promised, let alone the minute, because anything can happen right there in between. People pass in their sleep, car accidents happen, health complications happen. I mean, we've seen it all, but when I was out there and I was performing that last part, I could not help but be overwhelmed and just rushed by these emotions. And it was hard for me to keep going. And I was trying to push through it and just really just set the tone of like how much this song meant to me by just keep delivering it no matter how shaky or rough my voice got. But I got to the point where I couldn't even say the words that I needed to anymore because I had become overwhelmed by these memories and emotions, almost like I was there again. And it was hard. And it was something I've never had to deal with before, especially on stage. And it was one of those things where, like, literally in that moment, I'm thinking, he should be here right now with me on this, performance, smiling, cheering, doing what he always would do. But he's not. And I'm supposed to carry that torch. And even though I'm still more upset about it than I can realize or acknowledge in this moment, I have a job to do. I came here to perform. But even though I wasn't able to perform to the highest degree that I came there to do in that moment, the crowd was so welcoming of it. They were welcoming of the emotions that I had. The artists were very supportive of what was going on, and it was a very reassuring thing to know that, I may have set these high expectations and standards for myself, but they just wanted to hear a good story, to hear good music, to hear somebody come out there and do what they love and do what they do best, which is express themselves in a way that only few people can genuinely do, and that is through music. And I can't express enough gratitude to not only have gone through that, and even though I looked at it in that moment as like, man, I failed. I let, these individuals down. I let these people I wrote this song for down. I had to take a step back and realize I didn't, because the message itself wasn't lost. The people that were there listening to it loved it. They were moved. I had a couple people tell me that, they were brought to tears by it. And whether that was seeing me in the same state as them or the message itself, Just because I wasn't able to finish that last part of the song does not mean that I failed. And I had to be reassured of that by, my girlfriend and, one of my best friends. And it was a very humbling moment because I feel like we look at all these, superstars in the music scene that, make these powerful songs and these messages. And sometimes they go through the same exact thing on stage, but it's different when it's them. It's different when it's them. But then when it happens to you, you don't give yourself the same grace or the understanding of the impact that it not only has to them, but what it's done to you. And so you just expect yourself to just be this giant that's supposed to overcome all these things and not show any signs of emotion or weakness and all this. But I wanted to remind you, same things that had to be reminded to me, that it doesn't mean you are weak at all. It doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that you have to be better and rise to the occasion. Whatever you believe to be, that it's just some sort of setback in your mind. You literally just open the door to the next opportunity to connect with somebody. You just open the window of success as long as you're willing to not only peer through it to see what's possible, but to then climb through it and ascend to the next level. Because if I would have just took that as an L and I would have beat myself up about it, I would have missed the entire point of that night, of that moment that I was just sharing with everybody, because I didn't finish the last couple bars of this song. And it was simple. And I actually, hindsight, wish I would have finished it with everybody on the crowd, but for the sake of the podcast and the audience, I feel it's only right that I share it with you. And these last words I was trying to get out were, 2019, January 6th in my mind was some took my family like a thief in the night. Oh Lord, tell me what am I seeing? If the good die young, tell me why am I breathing? Tell me what am I seeing? Dreadlocks and caskets, every intention of doing good until they blasted. How this happen? How you let it? No, I never forget it. No questioning my faith, the lesson was always present. Plain view, but within hindsight, there's never a right time to assume that you'll always have time, right? So, minus setback for major comeback, I took that and ran with it. Don't let me get my legs back. Just having to go back and literally, even if I'm just talking this to you, I feel like I'm just right there in those moments again, just literally crawling to the finish line to become the person that I am currently and will be 4, 5, 10 years from now. I'm right back there. And that just means I have more work to do. I can't be idle. I can't be sitting on the sidelines thinking I've done enough. My time isn't finished. There is always going to be something to do to not only better yourself as an individual, as an artist, but as a person overall for your community, your loved ones, your friends, your family. And knowing that having timelines that have these not so much blips, but special indicators that kind of not only give you a trip down memory lane, but allow you to revisit and relive these moments for good or for bad. Cherish those. Cherish those moments for real. Because in my mind, at least the way I like to see it, it's like time travel in a way. Only difference is you can't alter time, you can't alter reality. Thank God, because I don't know if you know the butterfly effect, but you could change everything, and I mean everything, with one little thing. And quite frankly, I wouldn't change a thing. If I had to change a thing, or could change a thing, without the timeline being completely eradicated for what we know it to be, I think I just would have went and spent more time with him. Would have got to know him better because I only got about 3 to 6 months with him. And I don't regret that at all. I can only wish that for my family in the future, that I spend as much time with them as I can. And that in the next life, I do the same with my father. You can't live a life with regrets. If you live a life with regrets, it's an easy way to fall down a dark path of just despair. And you don't deserve that. You deserve so much more than that. And when you give yourself grace, when you show yourself the love that so many people are willing and welcome to show you, you'll be able to accept it. You'll be able to understand it. And it'll become such a smoother and gentle process as you're healing, as you're going through these trials and tribulations. Man, it was a beautiful night, for real. I genuinely could not have asked for a better welcome back performance. Honestly, like, people can say whatever they want, Oh, it wasn't the BOK Center, or it wasn't this, that, and the third. But I was surrounded by the people I loved, doing what I love to do most. And if you can be happy and content with that, there is not a thing on this earth that can be taken away from you, that can take away your happiness. You could be stripped of materials, you can be stripped of time, you can be stripped of resources, money, whatever it is. But if you have the things in your life that you appreciate and that you know appreciate you, that develop your happiness, your sense of peace, it'll be so much easier to be able to let go instead of worrying about the things that you can get. Life isn't about getting. It's about letting go so you can make room for the things that are most important to you. So before we conclude this episode of the Growth is Hard podcast, I want to know, what is it to you that keeps you up at night, that gets you up in the morning? What battles are you fighting? What war is going on in your mind right now? What contagion is going on in your heart right now that you're either feeding or slowly curing? Which one are you deciding to feed? What is this life about to you? Is it about being famous? Is it about being rich? Is it about giving? Is it about helping people? Is it about making a difference? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? And that's what this podcast is for me. I want to help change lives. I want to leave a legacy that'll be exactly what my father and I had in mind, that those after me will be able to look back and be proud of. I don't care if it gets 10,000 likes or 500 likes, let alone 1 million. It's the content itself, the power and the message behind it, because words are power. That matters to me, to know that as long as somebody is able to click this button, listen to it, gain something that is going to help them get through the next stage of their life, that is what I came to do. Mission accomplished. So without further ado, thank you so much for your time this week. I know it's been a crazy week for myself. I can only imagine for y'all, especially going in these 8-week classes. If you're in college, all I can say is keep your head up, man. We almost through. We are almost through. We've got 6 more weeks of this, and then we in the summer. I don't know about y'all. I'm taking summer classes. I'm trying to get this degree. So thank you so much for checking into the podcast. Same time next week, 4 o'clock on Mondays. I am your host, War Mothershed. This is the Growth is Hard podcast. We love you so much. Check it out next week.
I too wanna break out the casket. I do. Then they wonder what happened. Back from the dead, I should have said it was killing me. I set up boundaries. Trump with the border, and now you're supporting the immigration. Cause I've been there when you needed me most. To get you high even when I was low. Did it then, but I don't do it no more, man. Growth is hard.